So you're looking at buying your very first camper van. Fantastic. But before you get to that point, there's a key decision you have to make. Are you going for self-build? Are you going for a professional conversion? Or are you going for a factory built option? Stick with us because we're about to dive into each of these points and hopefully give you a little bit of insight. Now let's chat. Hi there everyone, my name's Tom, and with my wife Beth, our two kids Lorelei and Adeline, and our trusty dog Callie, we've been campervanning now for the past probably about 5 years. And it's not always been easy throughout that journey. There's been a lot to learn and we still would consider ourselves novices. But the thing is continually learning, continually growing is actually what all of this is about. And we thought we'd start some videos, share some of that knowledge and hopefully give you guys a little bit of insight as we go along. So actually what we're doing with our channel is we're doing series, we're doing focus topics so that you can get the very best from it. Now the first one we're doing today is Camper Chat. Callie Chat. We're going to figure out the name, but ultimately this is all about talking to you about some of the challenges we've had, ways you can get around it, and other things you might want to consider when getting into the world of campervan ownership. Now, a campervan is a fantastic vehicle for a young family and just in life in general, but they really boomed when COVID-19 hit and everyone went staycation, staycation, staycation. Now, as part of that, prices skyrocketed, availability plummeted, and ultimately, there was a big old bubble when it came to the costs. Now that cost has become prohibitive. There's a lot of people who are struggling to get into a campervan right now purely because of the cost element. So, actually making this jump, making that decision to get into campervan ownership is even harder than it has been before, and making sure the right decision is made first off is key. I've seen a great many people come and go from the community who, through COVID and all the rest of it, thought it was a fantastic idea and then ultimately didn't feel it was for them any further. Now we're quite stubborn. We're still at it and it's not always easy. It doesn't come naturally to us. We are a bit of a techie family, and so going off-grid is not always the logical thing for us. But you know what, when we think back to some of the memories we've had, some of the journeys we've had, they've been fantastic. It's a big decision, so the whole point of this video is to help you make that decision. So let's break it down. There are 3 options for you to focus on: self-build, professional conversion, or factory option. So the first option are self-builds. Our personal view, and this is very much personal, don't go near them. If this is your first campervan, it's the wrong move. So if you're watching this video, you probably watched A Bus and Beyond. Now, if you haven't, definitely check out their channel because they do some fantastic content and we learned a lot watching them. Now, one of the things they've been doing is converting a crafter. They're doing a brilliant build and the quality is spot on. However, they have the experience of many different motorhome or campervans and are applying that knowledge in their design and how they're approaching it. This is your first campervan. That is the knowledge that is going to propel you into making a good conversion. You wouldn't ask your 5-year-old son or daughter to go and design you your new kitchen, right? They wouldn't have any idea. I mean, you'd end up with some kind of slide down the kitchen counter and all the rest of it. It would not be good. I mean, it would be amazing, but it would not be good, right? So that's something to keep in mind. Now, the same could be said when you're looking at buying second-hand with a self-build. You don't know what to look for. But there's also another bit with it, which is the risk. Now, with a self-build, people have undertaken them themselves, obviously. Now, they might have cut corners, they might have not had the knowledge, they might not have focused on the quality, but most importantly, this is for us certainly from a family perspective, safety. When undertaking a self-build, one of the things you have to keep in mind is that safety element. And quite often, some of them, you can tell it's not been thought about. We once had a conversion which had a granite worktop. Looked amazing, looked absolutely beautiful. In a crash, what happens? Granite flies. Something we only think about now, we've got kids. But actually things like that are serious considerations. It comes down to other things such as the beds, so rib beds. So these are the beds that slide out, rock and roll beds, another term. They slide out, you fold the back down, and all of a sudden you've got a bed when you did have a bench. Now with those, actually they have to be secured in the correct place. Quite often they don't have ISOFIX on them either. And actually when you start throwing all these together, would I be comfortable with my kids being on it? Personally, no. But it's down to personal preference and that whole risk appetite piece. The other thing to keep in mind is things like the roof as well. So when you cut out your roof, you do your pop top, well, you know what? Remo Roofs, as an example, really good brand. They have a reinforced bar all around it because obviously when you cut out that roof, one of the things that then ends up happening is you lose the structural integrity of the van. So by making sure that you've got that in there and you do it properly, you retain that structure, that strength, the van remains safe. So with self-builds, the other thing to keep in mind is the cost. So very cheap to do in the grand scheme of things, but at the same time, they take a while to do. You look at a Bus and Beyond, they've been tackling theirs for probably about a year now, and they're getting their way through it, but it's only driven by the amount of enthusiasm and effort and time you can dedicate to it. And if you've never been camping before, something to be warned of. One of the other things to consider with self-builds is the residual. They have the lowest residuals of any camper van. Because they are undertaken by someone individually, because there isn't that safety record to them, and because it's not clear what they've done. The other thing is it's all down to personal taste. And actually quite often you'll find that the value of them is that much harder to sell, harder to get the money back. Option 2 is this, professional conversion. Now when I say professional conversion, what I'm saying is actually there are companies out there who will take your van, whether it's a brand new transporter or whether or not it's a tired, clapped out 100k mile delivery van that actually is now ready to be converted. And they will take it from whatever state it is in now and put in a lovely, absolutely fantastic interior and all the bits you need for your camper van. Now, that camper van, you can design it in whatever way you want with some of the products they have, different color interiors, different color fabrics. They will do whatever you want. And there's a couple of really reputable brands to focus on. And, you know, rather than drop a load of names, have a look at the likes of VanWorks or Vision Tech Automotive, and there are some options where you can actually have a look and see what they offer. Now there's some key differences between a self-build and a professional conversion. And the first one is experience. They know what good looks like. They've had that experience. They have fitted countless camper vans. That experience, that quality is what sets a professional conversion separate from a self-build. Now there's a couple of things to keep in mind. Firstly, a professional conversion is only as good as the company that does it. If you remember those little games when we were kids where you shuffle the square around and try and make all the pieces match. That is what a camper van is like. When you set up, when you get somewhere and you have to shuffle everything around, it can get a bit of a challenge. If you don't have a thought out kitchen, it gets a bit problematic. That's where these companies come in. They've got that experience, they've got that know-how, and they're also using high quality, good materials to do it. Now, some of the cheaper conversion companies won't have that experience, will be buying off-the-shelf equipment and be slapping it in, and you will be suffering for years with that. So something to keep in mind. Let's talk about money. Fact is that these conversions are costly. There are two options. You can buy your van and deliver it to them, or they can supply one. But ultimately, if you're putting this much money into a conversion, you're going to want a decent van to begin with. Okay, these conversions, they're not 5-6 grand, you're talking 30 plus. That said, there's some other considerations to be made. When it comes to the residuals, they hold their money better than a self-build because of that quality, because of that logic, because of the reputation, and the fact that whoever buys the vehicle afterwards can certainly always go back to the company that did the conversion. Now, the challenge with the conversion is very similar to that of a self-build in the sense of parts. When you have a conversion, quite often what you'll find is that the parts are from all sorts of different manufacturers, which means different warranties, different service levels, different quality levels, and ultimately, finding like for like can sometimes be a bit of a challenge. That said, these conversion companies are specialized in making these things work. Now there's one other downside I just want to throw out there about professional conversions. And this does not affect all of them, but it's something to be aware of, which is that they operate within a niche market. That means that you are the tester. To give you an example, our first conversion had an electric bed. You pushed a button and the bench transformed from being a bench into a bed. Quite often it wouldn't work. The kitchen door would fly open because the latch wasn't long enough. We had all sorts of challenges with it. So option 3 is a factory-made campervan. Now, when I say factory-made, what I mean is it does not leave the factory in a transit or a transporter guise. It leaves the factory as a campervan. It is registered as a campervan, and there is absolutely no ambiguity as to what it is from the outset. Whether you're talking about a Volkswagen California, whether or not you're talking about a Ford Nugget or a Mercedes Marco Polo, check out those 3 because they're all really good ones to look at. For us, a factory-made campervan offers peace of mind. Okay, all of the concerns raised on self-builds and conversions, they're all tackled here, every single one. The vans are made from factory as new campervans. Okay, there's no workarounds, there's no challenges. The bench seat is fixed from standard, it's certified with ISOFIX, there's crumple zones built into the van. It's been crash tested. From a parent perspective, that for me is a huge, huge win. And it's something to just make sure you're fully aware of. And then the other key point with a factory build is because they are so standardized, because they're so, I'm going to say it, generic, that actually a lot of the gear, a lot of the accessories, a lot of the tools, and a lot of the community workarounds, dare I say it, they're everywhere. So when it comes to residuals, vehicles such as the California hold their residuals very, very well. The other thing to keep in mind is that when you do sell, it's very easy for you to be able to sell it on a standard website or via Auto Trader. But hold on, whilst I may be a little bit biased, that's not to say that I'm not able to admit the faults of them. And so here are a couple to be mindful of. Firstly, the price. They are by far the most expensive option. If you go for a California, you are going to be looking at a minimum of 75 grand new, and most likely a 12-month waiting period. They are difficult to get a hold of. Secondhand absolutely exist, but again, the residuals make it really painful to part with that amount of money for a vehicle that might be 2 years old with 20, 30,000 miles on the clock. The other thing to keep in mind is that they're dull. I'm saying it outright, they are dull. Everything's grey, cream, or brown. That's it. There's nothing else. If you look at one of the professional conversions and then you look at a California, I know which one I'd choose. If it was about style, if it was about look, and if it was about being expressive. But let's bring this back, okay? If you're a young family looking to get into campervanning, okay, safety and ease paramount. It's the most important thing to think about. And for us, this was one of the core reasons why we went for a California. Now, we had a professional conversion, fantastic, it was lovely, but there were some things that just we couldn't work with, okay? But that said, I do miss the things that came with it. I miss the lighting, I miss the interior, and I miss the long wheelbase. Oh, downside of a factory build California, can't get long wheelbase, and it's really frustrating because that extra space is a godsend. So hopefully this video has helped you today. If you're looking at starting your campervan journey, please do let us know in the comments below. Let us know if this video has helped you at all. Now, we're by no means experts. This isn't meant to be fully comprehensive. Recommend you looking at other content creators, having a look at forums, making sure you join the forum of your manufactured choice. There's T6 self-build ones, there's transit forums, the official California forums. Join them, gain that knowledge, gain that awareness. They will really put you in good stead. But that's it from us today. If you found this video useful, please do hit that like and subscribe button, because that will help us make more content. It'll let us know what we're doing right. It'll let us know what we're not doing so well. And please share your thoughts in the comments below. And we'll look to chat to you next time. Thanks everyone. Bye.